Devin Haney versus Gamboa. My thoughts on it and what do I think of the fight? Um, this is not a fight that I particularly care about. I'm not dying to see it. I wouldn't care if I missed it or anything. Devin Haney's supposed to come out with the win. But to me, I would have liked to seen Devin Haney versus Luke Campbell. That would have been more my kind of speed. That would have been a fight that I can gauge Devin Haney off of a little bit more. Even though I believe he wins that fight too. That stylistically, I wanted to see him with somebody who's crafty like him, who has just as long as reach as him, and who could be just as technical and work the angles like him. So that's a fight that I would want to see, but he couldn't land that fight because I know he tried to get Luke Campbell. The reason why I'm not impressed with the Gamboa fight is because there's no way that he can make a statement with Gamboa. And what I mean by that is we know what Gamboa is. You know what I'm saying? Gamboa, for the most part, they're doing the classic old prospect to contender step up routine. What I mean by that is when you look in boxing, generally how it goes, when these guys go from prospect status to contender status and they start to step up, usually their first step up fight is an old champion who's no longer the fighter that they used to be, but their name still holds weight. Okay, and they go ahead and set up a fight with him because it helps build their resume, it helps them look good, and it helps them build their confidence. But the only thing still good about the fighter is the name. But the fighter, as far as the physicality part, has been long gone. That's how majority of these prospects going into contender status, that's how they come up. That's usually their first fight. Just look at Tank. It's the same thing. If you look at Charlo winning his belt off of War Out K9. This is usually how it goes. Usually when you win your first belt, you win it off the old champion who's no longer what they used to be. That's what I call the passing of the torch phase. Something that Vasily Lomachenko was supposed to do with Manny Pacquiao, but I'm going to digress on that. All right. So that's why I say you can't make a statement with nobody like Gamboa, because Gamboa got a name, but we all know Gamboa is burnt out. We all know Gamboa is burnt out. And how do you know Gamboa's burnt out? Gamboa's burnt out by who he fought before Devin Haney got his hands on him, which is Gervonta Tank Davis. And Gervonta Tank Davis moves very strategically. And after seeing his fight with Leo Santa Cruz, now you can understand why his team move him like that. And you know what? I can't blame him. I don't like it from a boxing fan standpoint, but for a businessman, as Gervonta Davis being my fighter, I totally understand and agree with the way that they're moving him. Although I would have more confidence in Gervonta Tank Davis than they do, you totally see why they move Tank the way he does. So you got to get these fighters on their way out. Now, Devin Haney's a little bit different because he tries to get the good fights, but he can't get them. But this is why I say there is no making no statement with Gamboa. You know what I'm saying? To me, Devin Haney beating Gamboa, I'm not going to be impressed by that. The only way Devin Haney can make a statement with me, with beating Gamboa, is if he beat him in 3 rounds. That's the only way. But other than that, it's a fight that you're supposed to win. We all know Gamboa is not what he's supposed to be. Once again, because your boy Tank already fought him. And they don't put Tank in there with anybody that can rival him or give him some trouble. Now, give and take that Tank did have some problems with Gamboa, just like he had some problems with Leo Santa Cruz. But once again, now you see why they move Tank the way that they do. But most definitely, he got in there with Tank. So that's why I said there is no impressing me with no win over Gamboa unless it's in 3 rounds. I would have liked for him to fight Luke Campbell. It would have done more for him. As far as his career, it'd have been more of a bigger statement, and it'll open him up to the UK nice and proper. You know what I'm saying? That's me. But that's the difference between these guys and what you seen Teofimo Lopez do. The difference is Teofimo Lopez is not moving like the rest of these young guys are being moved. he went straight for the jugular. He went for the best in his prime, in his weight division. You know, he went for the best. He wasn't trying to beat up on no old champion or nobody walking out the door, you know what I'm saying, or on their way out of the door. That's not what he did. He beat the pound for pound, so-called pound for pound fighter in his prime. That's rare to see. This is why what Floyd did was unusual, because usually the older guy, when they fighting the younger guy, is to pass on the torch. The older fighter don't take on the young lighters, you know. I mean, just ask Canelo Alvarez. You'll never see Canelo Alvarez do for another fighter what Mayweather did for him. You will never see him do it. He will never fight anybody young, prime, and hungry. This is why he stays away from the Charlos. This is why he stays away from Andrade, and this is why he always picking cherry picks. You know. So at the end of the day, like I said, when we're dealing with Gamboa, I mean, what do you expect me to get from that? I know that he's through. You know, now I still think that he can work Devin over some, you know, but Devin Haney's supposed to walk away with the victory. But there is no making no statement with no burnout like Gamboa. I'm sorry, it's just not. You know, like I said, I would have liked Luke Campbell more than this. So that's why with this fight, I have no interest in it whatsoever. You know what I'm saying? Not at all. You know, and a lot of people will go around questioning, well, who's the real champion and who's the real champion? I've already said when it comes to Devin Haney and Teofimo Lopez, I don't think neither one can say anything about each other or should say anything about each other. But if somebody could talk some shit and they would have the grounds to talk shit, it would be Teofimo Lopez talking shit to Devin Haney. Because at the end of the day, Devin Haney cannot call somebody not a real champion and not a real this, because he beat the guy who gave you a belt, who you didn't fight to get that belt from. Okay? So if anything, your belt should go to Teofimo Lopez, and maybe Devin Haney should get franchise champion, because you didn't beat Lomachenko to get that belt. You were given that belt, even though you challenged for it. But yet and still, you didn't win it by fighting him. Lopez actually fought the dude who gave you your belt. So if it's come to legitimacy about who's a real champion, it's a no-brainer that Lopez is more legit than Devin Haney. Easy. Even though I don't think neither one of these guys should say anything about each other, because Devin Haney, not a real champion, and Teofimo Lopez, not really undisputed. I mean, them is just facts. These two got to fight in order to get undisputed and to be a real champ. In my eyes, and I'm pretty sure in many hardcore fans' eyes, that's exactly how that shit goes. But if these two have already agreed to fight each other, I don't get why everybody else is trying their hardest to try to cramp or to try to shit on Teofimo Lopez. But this is what I'm going to tell people. Keep that same energy, because you know what? Lomachenko made me a lot of money, you know? And that's what I'm going to start doing now. When it comes time for these two to fight, have these people put their money where their mouth is. You know, I done already done the assessment. Teofimo Lopez versus Devin Haney. I know who's going to come out the winner. I already know who's going to come out the winner. You know? And people could say this person gave a box less than that person gave a box less. The only thing I can say is, when that day comes, put your money where your mouth is. Because everybody can talk. You know what I'm saying? But money walks. All right? Have them put their money where their mouth is. It's time to start penalizing you guys. It's time for me to get paid off y'all fanboyism. You know? Straight up. But nonetheless, Devin Haney's out there getting with he can get. And this is one thing I'm going to say about Devin Haney, and one thing that I like about Devin Haney. Devin Haney will beat most of the people by discipline alone. He lives a fighter's life. I don't think he's the most talented fighter in the world. I'm not that impressed by him. But his work ethic and how he carries himself and how he lives his life, that will beat out majority of his competition. His lifestyle, his attitude, and his discipline alone will carry Devin Haney extremely far. Okay, that's one thing I can say about Devin Haney. I like his style. I like how he carries himself, and I like how him and his father is about their business, and he lives a fighter's life. That right there will take him far in the sport alone. Anyways, that's my thoughts on it. Bruce Vane, I'm out.